I'm Albert Burgstahler, Professor Emeritus of Chemistry at the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas. My research on fluorine actually began in connection with my organic chemistry research, making fluoroproline, which is an amino acid with a ring, and putting that fluorine in there made some differences in how it would behave in some biochemistry and the biosynthesis of collagen. During the course of that research, I began doing more reading about fluoride and in general as a negative ion of the element fluorine. Now, in the course of that reading, I discovered that it causes effects on the thyroid gland. Intake of about 4 to 5 milligrams of fluoride per day will depress thyroid function. And the reason that became of interest to me is because I myself had been diagnosed with a low thyroid function a few years earlier after I came to Lawrence, Kansas. My doctor was puzzled by why it was happening, and it put me on the thyroid extract to control it, but nothing beneficial was happening. I had a whole series of symptoms that bothered me: waking up tired, feeling a dry throat, a bloated feeling in the stomach, some headaches, aching joints, and it just didn't seem right, but particularly the tiredness after what should have been a good night's sleep. So the doctor diagnosed me as having a low thyroid function with a basal metabolism of -22. This was about 2 or 3 years after I came to Lawrence in 1956. So I persisted with this situation, but I noticed I was drinking a lot of water, as much as 4 or 5 quarts a day, which would have given me the equivalent of 4 or 5 milligrams of fluoride per day. So I immediately thought, well, maybe if I just switch to non-fluoridated water, I might see whether I'm one of these persons who's sensitive to fluoride. And sure enough, after a few days, I noticed my dry throat disappeared, waking up more refreshed. Gradually, the aching joints disappeared. A whole series of changes took place spontaneously, even though I then stopped taking the thyroid extract. Well, I persisted in this new pattern for about 3 months, called my doctor up and told him I'd like to have a new check on my basal metabolism because I'd been doing something different. And sure enough, he checked it out and found it was right back to normal at 0 and stayed that way since. And the more I read, the more I realized this was a very serious problem that had been largely excluded from the standard textbooks and the main reading that people would ordinarily do. At that point, I had thought fluoride was perfectly safe, it was definitely beneficial, and from all the further reading of the literature that was excluded, I saw that was not the case. I also found that fluoridated toothpaste was causing mouth sores, and they disappeared when I switched to non-fluoridated toothpaste. I